What up, Keyforge? I am Zuck, and we are here for the first round of the final refrain. Yes, the round of 32. Of course, all the best Archon players from all over the world. So it's exciting. Disclaimer, I am on a 5-minute delay, so if you're saying stuff in the chat, it'll be 5 minutes before I see it. But welcome. We have quite the matchup. We have Varghast versus Captain Crispy, two giants, and some really awesome Grim Reminders decks. So it is going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Let's take a look at the final refrain bracket and just to see where our players are in the bracket and what else, who they might go up against. Okay, here we go. Hey, Orion, what's up? So we have Vargas and Captain Crispy over here in the bottom left corner of the bracket. If they win, they're going to face the winner of Flaming Hobo versus GJ999. And then they get to face one of these fun four here, Shaka, Lord Judo, or Mike Fooney. Tons of great players, tons of great decks. Hey, Lenderfect, thanks for the follow. Okay, so who do we have playing in our matchup tonight? Varghast, of course, is the Sealed World Champion, the Rosevall Vault Tour double champion in both Sealed and Alliance, and the NKFL 24 champion. And he's going to be playing Isaac Bean Watson, who parts animals, which I'm very familiar with, losing to it in KFL. And he's been very successful with. And his quote here is, "I want to be the very best, like no one ever was." And we'll get into that deck shortly, but first, let's check out Captain Crispy. Captain Crispy was the Archon runner-up at the Vegas Vault Tour. With this deck, Extravagantly Prideful Senador, and he was also the Roseville Vault Tour Alliance runner-up to Vargas. So yes, they met in the Alliance final at Roseville. And he's got a great quote here, "Don't panic." You know, I first met Captain Crispy at the first Keyforge Celebration KFC. I was doing the Winds of Exchange deck opening. It was first time we were seeing Winds of Exchange. Keyforge was coming back. I was doing a deck opening stream, and Captain Crispy comes over and he's like, "Hey, I got some decks. Did you want to open them on stream?" And he was really friendly, an awesome dude. Really wanted to kind of help give to the community. So, yeah, both of these guys are awesome. All right, let's get into the decks. Okay. Isaac Bean Watson, a Grim Reminders, Brobnar Geistoid Mars. It's actually a mirror match. Both have Brobnar Geistoid Mars, and both are Grim Reminders. We can see here a lot of speed with double Recklessness, triple Junk Restoration, UFO. Lots of nice speed there. He does have the threat of Vodka, Winds of Death, Key Abduction combo. He can get Memroxa Red to combo off because he can get tons of creatures or things in his archive and then use a Memroxy Red action to gain a ton of Ember. He's got some pretty good Ember control with Curse of Cowardness, Memorialize the Fallen. And the creature control, the scoop ups can really do some work versus key opponent creatures that are just annoying. So this is Isaac Bean Watson. He's got a lot of um, recursion as well. So with the target, with the Winds of Death, Dr. X, there's a lot of choices to be made. Echofly potentially. Choices to be made on what to bring back, what's critical at that time. And he's also got a very critical deep probe, which could be very disruptive if it comes off at the right time. All right, moving on to Captain Crispy's deck, Extravagantly Prideful Synodor. Again, it's Brobnar Geistoid Mars. Not as much of the speed cards that Varghast deck had, but he does have the Boo in here somewhere, or Island of Misfit Toys combo. So if he can get a Boo early and maybe archive some of the key pieces, if he gets double Haunted House early, then he's filling up his discard to then get back within here somewhere. He also has Memorialize the Fallen, double Blunderbore with double Cacophonous Riot. Hey, Snoopy. Hey, Emperor Riku. Nice to see you. Yeah, thanks for the reminder, Snoopy. I will also remind the players so that we all try and get it. Okay. So the Island of Misfit Toys is really great recursion here, which then allows him to bring back key components to his Mars combo. And his Mars combo is amazing. He's got the Zerx combo, which of course is Dr. Xyloxifrex, Iron X Rebel, and Zip the Implanter that can combo off. But he also has a couple things to make it even spicier. He has Phantom Drummerknot, which has a play fight ability to bring back a creature from the discard. And then he's also got Replay Pod, so that if his creatures die, they'll go under Replay Pod, and Varghast doesn't have any artifact control. And then he also has a Mars First, so to maybe kickstart some action as well. Emperor Riku always having fun in the comments. So we got some really exciting decks here. I believe the players are just about ready. So they are setting up their match shortly. This is a very cool looking event. This is organized by Emperor Riku. Orion and Lord Judo have done a lot of help as well. Orion has really helped all of us media collaborators get us organized. Okay, so let's go over and see where we're at. Hey, what's up, Murph? Nice to see you. Okay, they're still getting set up. So I'm really looking forward to this match. It is best of 3. So this could go a lot of different ways because Isaac is very fast. Captain Crispy's combo, once it goes off, it can make a ton of Ember. So we'll see who gets the draw, who and what tricks do they have up their sleeves to try and slow down the other one. Oh, let me fix that. Give me just a moment. Okay. Okay. Just letting them know that I am ready to go. It's pretty interesting that we start here this matchup with both Grim Reminders, both the same houses. Both of them have Memorialize the Fallen and double Cacophonous Riot. A lot of similarities, and they've already met each other in a Vault Tour final, so a lot of history between them as well. It's exciting. While we're waiting, I might just call up Christian T. Peterson and see what he thinks about this. I mean, he is CEO of Ghost Galaxy. You'd think he'd want to chime in.
The final refrain is awesome. Why doesn't GG do this?
Yeah, well, get on it. Get on it, CTP. It is awesome, isn't it? Okay.
No, but really, I am excited.
Okay, that's good, CTP. Let's see. Okay, we are in. Players are selecting their decks. And I think we are about good to go. If you're just joining, I am on a 5-minute delay. So if you're talking in the chat, I won't be able to see it for 5 minutes. And let me make sure. I gotta fix the names here. They swapped them on me. Okay. We got Captain Crispy on top, Varghast on the bottom. And off we go. We are ready. Let's do this. We have Varghast as the first player, and we see that Captain Crispy already mulliganed. And it looks like Varghast chooses to mulligan as well. I'm going to move up my camera there so that you can also see the timer. These games are timed. Okay, we have a fast start with Awakened Titan from Varghast, and then Island of Misfit Toys, Touchstone, and Albi Astray from Captain Crispy. So getting the Island of Misfit Toys early. So if he gets some of his other key Geistoid cards, that's crucial. Varghast goes into Geistoid. The other thing that Captain Crispy might be wanting to do is even use a Touchstone to start discarding and getting cards into his discard pile, because it's got the reap effect of if you're not haunted, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. But Varghast comes back with a Junk Restoration, discards a Haunted House with the bonus icon, probably because of Captain Crispy's artifact control, and takes the Winds of Death. And discards a Boiler just for some ping damage, and also discards Daimo Eldergas. So holds on to the Winds of Death. Captain Crispy comes back into Brobnar with a Berserker Slam, not killing the Wakened Titan, but putting some damage on it, making it enraged as well with Cacophonous Riot and playing out a Blunderbore. Murph calling the 35-minute best of 3 just based off the speed of these decks. Might happen. Might happen. Varghast goes into Mars, getting some more of his speed. UFO, discarding Echofly, Albia Stray, and taking Dr. X into his hand, but then discarding it. So really filling up his discard, potentially for playing Winds of Death later and archiving some of his key pieces. He also plays Destructive Analysis and does 2 damage to Blunderbore. And he also scoops up. He'll have to take his Awakened Titan. But what is he going to take here? What's more of a threat to him? Is it the Touchstone? He's having a think on that. He was also thinking about this scoop up actually had a discard pip. He was thinking about what to discard. He decides on the Cacophonous Riot. And he does scoop up the Awakened Titan and the Touchstone. He's up to 4 Ember with Captain Crispy at 2 Ember. Hey, Liquid Squash, nice to see you. Captain Crispy goes into Brobnar, plays down the size for the Ember and Looter Goblin, and just reaps with Blunderbore, getting up to 4 Ember. We see that Varghast has already been able to get through about half of his deck. He's got 13 in the discard, only 16 in the draw, whereas Captain Crispy only has 3 in the discard. He's barely got through a third of his deck. So we're seeing that speed from Varghast. So then the question is, can he set up some of his plays, getting back the right cards with the recursion to pull off what he wants to do, or will Captain Crispy be able to disrupt it, or be able to get to his own combo first? Hey, what's up, Grishammer? Nice to see you. Hey, I just follow the rules. I didn't. All right, Varghast calls Brobnar, but now is starting to think about it. Maybe thinking of the ordering, or potentially his recklessness and wants to see, does he, I'm guessing, or it might even be does he want to play Curse of Cowardness? So, okay, maybe he was thinking about whether he wants to pull his archives, because now he does then Touchstone goes from his archives back into Captain Crispy's hand. One reason why Varghast may have ditched the Haunted House is that we do have some artifact control, both Glimmer Spore and Animating Force from Captain Crispy's deck, so he may just not wanted to deal with that. For the rest of Varghast's turns, he plays a Berserker Siam, does 4 damage to Albia Stray, and killing it, making Crispy lose 1 Ember, and then discards both Awakened Titan and Recklessness, so doesn't want to risk losing some key cards in his hand. We know he's got Winds of Death that he held on to. Now, interestingly, We go over to Captain Crispy. He discards Zip, the Implanter, Iron X Rebel, and Glimmer Score. Now, Zip and Iron X Rebel are two key pieces of his combo. He's probably either wanting to get to Island of Misfit Toys and bring back, either get to his in here somewhere and then archive those pieces, or make it so that if Varghast uses Winds of Death, that they will also be archived to help him set up his combo. Okay, Vargas goes back into Brobnar, plays Cacophonous Riot to enrage Looter Goblin and Blunderbore, plays Fiery Jark, discarding Webster with a discard pip, and destroys Blunderbore, and then discards a second Recklessness. Captain Crispy quickly goes into Geistoid, discarding Animating Force to gain an Ember, and then playing Mehmet to archive Animating Force, and then playing 2 Touchstones. I missed it on the last turn, but Vargas forged the first key, the red key, last turn. So Captain Crispy again is threatening. He's almost haunted, 2 cards away from haunted. He could reap once with a touchstone to get haunted, reap with the other touchstone to draw 2 cards. We know Vargas has Winds of Death in hand, and he's already got 21 cards in the discard. But that would also archive some of Captain Crispy's combo pieces with Iron X Rebel and Zip the Implanter. He does go into Geistoid, first playing Junk Restoration. It discards Brick Nasty, Curse of Cowardness, and Memrox the Red. We'll see if he picks it up or not. It seems like he's thinking if he wants to keep one or not. Oh yeah. Good call, guys. I will take the chat off the screen. That was my bad. Okay, he decides to grab Curse of Cowardness after thinking about it for a good long time. That can be very powerful Ember control. Chew Ember every turn, unless the board is wiped. And it is wiped. So he played Ecto Charge after the Curse of Coward, bringing back the Curse of Cowardness to hand. Discard Shrink Ray Technician with the Ecto Charge bonus icon, and then plays Winds of Death. Discarding target with the Winds of Death bonus icon, and then archiving a whole bunch of creatures. So he's got 13 in the archives. He's definitely set up for the key abduction. We haven't seen it either. So he's got the key abduction target, key abduction play ready. I'm not sure if there's much that Captain Crispy will be able to do here. Although he did get finally to his boo, and in here somewhere, archiving Mars first and don't believe your eyes. Activating the Island of Misfit Toys to return in here somewhere, boo, another in here somewhere, haunted house, Mehmet, touchstone, the other touchstone. So booing again to get to the bottom of his deck, playing in here somewhere to archive Dr. X and Phantom Drummernaut, using the Mehmet to archive in here somewhere, playing out his Geister creatures, and then using the other in here somewhere to archive Distant Void Prober and Memorialize the Fallen. So he might be able to do some tricks with Distant Void Prober to increase key cost, potentially. But I would expect Varghast to potentially try and key abduct here. And then target it. We'll have to see if he's got anything else up his sleeve. We do see Captain Crispy go to check at 9. So if he does have Chew in his draw pile as well, so he might not have the key abduction yet. But if he does go Mars, and he does, and if he pulls his archive, which he does, he's got 19 in his hand, so he can get a free key with key abduction. All right, so he's got 19 cards in his hand. Let's see what he does. First, brain darting the Mehmet. Plays the target. Let's see what he archives here. First, discarding an Echo Fly with the target discard pip and archiving Brain Dart. The order of operations here is very critical. So definitely making sure he thinks through ordering all the cards right. And also, if he does have key abduction in hand, he also has to be worried about how many cards his hand goes down to. With the Echo Fly discard, he archives Ecto Charge, or sorry, with the Echo Fly discard, he archive Brain Dart, and with target, he archive Ecto Charge. Then he key abducts, deals 1 damage to Mehmet with a key abduction bonus icon, and discards Brick Nasty with a key abduction bonus icon. Brings back target to hand, so he gets a key for free, playing 0 Ember. Is at check at 6 again already for the 3rd key. Plays down target. So he's got 2 potential outs here with both Ecto Charge in archive. And we'll see if he also wants to archive key abduction or if he decides something else. He does archive the key abduction and discards Awakened Titan. So now Captain Crispy goes into Mars, takes his archives. Now what's interesting, because Varghast has Ecto Charge, even if he's able to increase key cost, depending how far Varghast gets into his discard, he might be able to get the key cost down anyway. But let's see, we're going to combo off here. Zip the Implanter comes down, Dr. X comes down, Iron X Rebel comes down to ready them both. And this combo is where Iron X Rebel goes in between both Zip and Dr. X. Zip first reaps to take a creature from the other side if they have one. If they don't, then he goes to the next step, which is to destroy a friendly creature. In this case, you want to destroy the Iron X Rebel so that Dr. X can then reap, bring back the Iron X Rebel in between Zip and Dr. X, and do it all over again. So every play of Iron X Rebel, you get 2 reaps from Dr. X and Zip. If you're starting from it in hand, you get 5 reaps out of each of them, so that's already 10 Ember. And we'll see what else he's got in store. Grabber Jammer comes down, which increases the key cost by 1. I didn't check to see how many plays. It doesn't look like he's done all of his plays there yet. Please don't believe your eyes twice just to capture some Ember because he's not haunted. He again uses Zip to destroy the Iron X Rebel. Let's see. I'm wondering, is he only going to be able to get 1 reap off a Distant Void Prober? I'm wondering if that's what he's thinking about to increase key costs. Or he's actually probably counting how many times he's used the creatures. That is one of the downsides of playing in TCO is it's really hard to keep track of how many times you've done some of these operations. Okay, Distant Void Prober comes down on the board. Let's see what else he has here. He's thinking it through. Sorry, y'all. Things are happening. It's a busy night. Let's see. It's also possible that Captain Crispy has Mars first. Definitely thinking through the options here. So, Distant Void Prober, I guess why he's not going to use it is because he's not haunted. So it doesn't make sense for him to use that. Let's see, based off of what he's played so far, I don't think he would have been able to get haunted anyway. Phantom Drummerknock comes down to return Iron X Rebel to their hand. I think this might be the Rebels' last play. Void Prober and Grabber Jammer. Reaping with both of them. Mars first on Grabber Jammer to capture another one. Plays Replay Pod. And a final Dr. X Reap. Getting up to 16 Ember. Varghast is down to 2 Ember. Crispy says good game right away. So he thinks that for sure Varghast has a way to do it, and he does with a key abduction. He goes into Mars. Crispy says he messed up his discard for Haunted, hoping that he could use the Distant Void Prober to increase key cost. So he brain darts, key abducts, and that is game. So game 1 goes to Varghast. And let me get the log. Remember the first one. Doesn't mean I'm going to remember all of them. Okay. Okay, so on to game 2. Let me update the score here. This is a best of 3, so Varghast now up 1-0. And now we'll see how the second match goes. Varghast did a very excellent job kind of crafting his hand, crafting it to get to that final end state of the Winds of Death key abduction. And with also having a target there so he could pull it off again. Okay, on to game 2. Okay, we have Captain Crispy as first player. Oh, now they swapped it up on me. They're on different sides again. Now I gotta change it all. They're keeping me busy here. That's alright. That's alright. And we gotta change the score again now too. Okay. Okay, so Captain Crispy was the first player. He did mulligan, and I don't think Varghast did. Crispy plays a plummet to discard his whole hand, including Dr. S. Interesting. That's actually some pretty sneaky speed there. Varghast starts with UFO, discards Junk Restoration and Recklessness and Cacophonous Riot, and gets to Scoop Up. Plays a Scoop Up, discarding a Berserker Slam with Scoop Up, and plays Key Abduction, discarding Haunted House with the discard pip on Key Abduction. So both of them having a very fast start. Captain Crispy comes back with an I'll Be Astray and Haunted House. And Varghast goes into Brobnar. Varghast discards Awakened Titan, plays Recklessness. Recklessness first has a discard pip where it discards Echo Fly to to archive key abduction. Then from Varghast's hand, he discards Brain Dart, Webster, and Dr. X. And Captain Crispy discards Iron X Rebel, Island of Misfit Toys, and Mars First. What big hit there on Island of Misfit Toys and Iron X Rebel. And then a Berserker Slam to deal 4 damage to Albie Astray. Captain Crispy plays Memorialize the Fallen to erase a bunch of Ember. Looks like all but one of Varghast's Ember. And then plays a Rickety Cyber Giant and down to size, and then use Haunted House to gain an Ember as well, because he's now haunted. So although the Island of Misfit Toys and all of his combo pieces are in the discard, we haven't seen either of the In Here Somewhere from Crispy yet, so he can still get them back. And then on Varghast's side, he's got Key Abduction already archived. We saw 1 Junk Restoration discarded, but we know he's got 2 more. So he's still already halfway through his deck and still looking to kind of get to his combo as well. So both of them off and running fast. Okay, so Varghast goes into Mars, plays Scoop up to archive Rickety Cybergiant, discards Shrink Ray Technician, and then plays both of his Memroxa Reds, threatening the action, which is gain 1 for each card in your archives. Crispy goes into Mars, plays Don't Believe Your Eyes to have Memrox capture 2 from its own side, uses Haunted House to gain an Ember, and thinks about what's next. Plays Grabber Jammer, discards Distant Void Prober, and plays Phantom Drummerknot. To bring back Iron X Rebel, which then is used to play both Grabber Jammer and Phantom Drummer, or to ready both Grabber Jammer and Phantom Drummerknot. Phantom Drummerknot takes out the Memrox that had the 2 Ember on it. And then he's deciding what to do with the Grabber Jammer here. Oh, he also uses the fight effect from the Drummerknot to bring back Distant Void Prober. And discards it again, reaps with Grabber Jammer to get to check at 6. Okay, Varghast is thinking about what to do next. So we did see Captain Crispy bring some of his combo pieces back to his hand. Probably he's pretty confident because he's got the In Here Somewhere. In Here Somewhere's coming that he can get back what he needs when he needs it. And probably also wanting to put some pressure on getting a check while getting rid of one of the Memrocks. Vargas already has gone through both of his scoop up, so he can't necessarily. I guess there's no non-Mars creatures on the board anyway, so he wouldn't be able to get more into his archive for Memrocks. And I think he's. I would think if he had some junk restoration action going, he'd probably quickly go into Geistoid. He does finally go into Geistoid. We'll see if he has one or not. Yep, there comes the junk restoration, discarding Holiday Festival, Earthshaker, and Winds of Death. Decides to take Winds of Death. That makes sense. This is very interesting because the Winds of Death can also potentially set up Captain Crispy's combo, although right now with Rebel and Drummer not on the board, those would not go into the archive, so we'd have to get those into archive a different way. Varghast then plays Ecto Charge for the Ember, discarding Brick Nasty with its discard pip. I'm going to go back and look to see how much that Memorialize the Fallen took out. It took out 5 Ember from Varghast. That's pretty big. Because if Varghast was able to get that first key, then he can just key abduct, target, key abduct, and he doesn't really have to worry about the combo from being enabled by Winds of Death because he'll be ahead. Okay, he discards Albiostray and then does play the Winds of Death. Archiving a whole slew of creatures. He now has 11 as archives, and Captain Crispy has 5. He's down to 1 in hand, so we'll draw. We also know he's got key abduction in the archives as well. He decides to play the boiler here. Captain Crispy goes Mars quickly and moves all his cards into his archive. We know he has a Dr. X and Zip there. He uses Haunted House to gain an Ember. The Mars First is in the discard as well. Zip comes down, Dr. X comes down. Discards just Void Prober to capture one of Varghast's own Ember on the boiler and then discards Glimmer Spore. So he's trying to threaten the Iron X Ripple play here. Both of these are elusive, so Boiler can't kill him unless Boiler gets destroyed. So he's saying, okay, can you take me out? Let's see. Both of the Berserker Slams are in the discard from Varghast. We know he's got the key abduction. Does he have to burn the key abduction here? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Varghast approaches this. I believe he's also got the Fiery Jark, I believe, in the archives from Brobnar. So there's a couple different ways he can approach this. He goes Mars and takes his whole archive. If he happened to draw into target and key abduction, he's only got 2 in his draw pile, so it's kind of likely that he also has target and key abduction again already, and so then he can just bounce both Dr. X and Zip. And also from his archive, Rickety Cybergiant goes back to Captain Crispy's hand. Now that Captain Crispy, though, took his archives, his hand is, if Dr. X and Zip go back to it, it will be gummed up a bit. Because it's full of creatures from, or it's at least half full. I think he only had 5 creatures in his discard, so it's not a ton. Might matter what else that he had in hand when the Winds of Death went off. Varghast thinking through his options here. The target comes out first with a discard pip. He's, I'm sure, trying to make sure he's got 15 cards in his hand for the free key abduct. He discards Echo Fly with the target discard pip to archive Winds of Death. Everything is choreographed so awesomely when Varghast is playing. Because of course the scrap effect of Echo Fly is archive the topmost action card from your discard pile. Every time I see him play a deck, it's like everything is choreographed. He's like, of course, Winds of Death is the top action, and that's the one that I want to echo. It's like he's thinking 2 to 3 turns ahead, making sure that everything is played in the right order so that the next turn, when you discard Echo Fly, boom, Winds of Death. Still in the middle of the standoff. Okay, he's thinking about what to archive with the target here. He may be worried that the target key abduct target is not viable, or he's trying to set himself up so he doesn't have to rely on, because he's going to need to get to a 3rd key, so he's got to think about the rest of his game plan. He said, still thinking, huge decision on what he's going to archive with the target. Let's see, what are the options here? Ecto Charge, Junk Restoration. He's got 17 in his discard, so he's still got 14 in hand and only 2 in the draw. He finally decides to use target to archive UFO. Plays a key abduction. It's got both a damage pip and a discard pip, so he puts a damage on Zip the Implanter, decides to discard Daimo Eldergast, pulls everything back to his hands, gets a key for Chew Ember here. And then is thinking about what to do next. That then puts Crispy in a tough place with both Zip and Dr. X back in his hand. But we don't know what else he's got in his hand besides a few other creatures. Let's see. So what was on the board was Distant Void Prober, which was discarded on a later turn to capture one, and then Phantom Drummernaut and Rebel and Grabber Jammer for creatures there. Okay, Varghast decides to go and play out all of his Mars creatures. Memrox the Red, Dr. X, Target, which first discards Brick Nasty and then archives Key Abduction. And Shrink Ray Technician, and then passes turn. Crispy goes quickly into Geistoid, uses Haunted House to gain an Ember. The second Haunted House comes down. He does get one of his in here somewhere. So let's see what he grabs here. I would guess the Rebel and the Drummernaut, but he goes for the Drummernaut and the Mars first because the Drummernaut can bring back the Rebel. I was wondering if he was going to go that route or if he had something else in mind. The Mamet then archives it in here somewhere. A touchdown and an Albia Stray comes down. Albia Stray takes out the Memrox, which doesn't matter too much because he's got Dr. X, unless he's got a way to also take care of that. But you're kind of screwed no matter what with the Dr. X on the board. Then Captain Crispy discards the top two cards of Varghast deck, which happen to be Cacophonous Riot and Deep Probe. So because Varghast had a UFO in his archives, that he would have been able to get to Deep Probe. And so Captain Crispy at least got around that. This is still a pretty interesting matchup we have here. We know Varghast has Winds of Death still as an option because he archived it with the Echo Fly. He's got 21 in discard. Captain Crispy has 13, only 3 creatures. But he already knows that he can combo off again based off of what he's archived within here somewhere. So Varghast, I'm sure, is trying to think about, okay, knowing he's going to combo off, what do I need to do to give myself a chance of winning here? Ecto Charge is in the discard. He does have the Key Abduction in the archive as well. So he's thinking about it. This has definitely been uh, a lot of decision points in this game, requiring thinking through ordering cards, thinking through what to bring back, thinking at different points in the game, what's my game plan from here? Lots lots of different decisions here. Okay, Varghast goes into Mars, takes his archive. Let's see, at least right now he could bring back a Memrox using the Dr. X. Um, he just has to chew Memrox in the discard from Mars. Shrink Ray Technician first reaps, makes Albia Stray -2 power, which kills it. Dr. X reaps, which brings back Memrox the Red. And Memrox the Red reaps. He purposely does not reap with the target so that key abduction will bring it back instead of the target getting archived. And he does 1 damage to Touchstone instead of the Mamet so that Crispy doesn't get Albia Stray, I guess, in the archive. Crispy, we know, because he can combo off, he's kind of 3 turns away from winning. He can gain a ton of Ember this turn and the next turn. So Varghast knows when he needs to win by. So then the key abduction comes off. He discards Awakened Titan with the bonus icon. Returns all of his Mars creatures to hands and pays 2 Ember for that key as well. And now he's got to decide what he wants to do with his Mars creatures that are in hand. Because if he plays them down, Captain Crispy can steal them. He does play the target down because getting something back from his discard pile is that critical. With the target, the discard pip on the target, he discards the Shrink Ray Technician, which shrinks Touchstone to 1 power and kills it. Still trying to decide what to do with the rest of his Mars. Let's see, he's got 11 in hand. He's still actually thinking about what to bring back with the target as well, what to archive with the target. And he archives Echo Fly. Okay, so he's off the key abduction train. And telegraphing, he's going to go on to Geistoid next. The Ecto Charge is in the discard. Okay, Crispy quickly goes into Mars, takes his archives, gains 2 embers with Haunted House, and here comes combo time. Phantom Drummerknot comes down to bring back Iron X Rebel. He plays Don't Believe Your Eyes to capture Chu Varghast's own Ember and put it onto Boiler. Let's see. He's got Distant Void Prober and Grabber Jammer still in the discard as well. Zip and Dr. X come down. And there goes the Rebel. Zip takes the Boiler. Destroys the Rebel. Dr. X brings it back. And it is combo time. Let's see. I'm guessing he's not going to reap with Varghast target, so it won't go back to his archive, but I don't know. Alrighty, started at 4 Ember. He's getting up. He should be able to get up to at least 14, I believe. Maybe deciding if he says big think here. He might be deciding, does he want to bring back something else instead of the Rebel with the Dr. X, like Distant Void Prober? In this case, he is haunted. Not sure if the key. I don't think the key cost will really matter this next turn, but who knows what they have in store. Could potentially bring back a Grabber Jammer. Big decisions here. He might also be thinking, does Zip kill the target? Not sure if it matters. Let's see, both Recklessness are gone from Varghast. He still has a bunch of creatures from the Winds of Death. So the only Geistoid creature is Daimo Eldergast that is in the discard. So he's got the Echofly, Webster, and Albia Stray. Okay, Dr. X decides to bring back the Distant Void Prober. Crispy decides to with Dr. X. Reaps there, gives gets an extra 3 Ember there, or extra key cost of 3. And reaps with the Zip to destroy what? Decides to destroy the Rebel. And then Mars first to reap once more with the Dr. X. And play the Rebel to get one more reap with Distant Void Prober. And reaping with Rebel for its 6 use. So getting up to 19 Ember and passing the turn. Key cost now at 12 with the 2 Distant Void Prober reaps. Let's see, Key Abduction is a top card in Varghast deck if he decides to discard Echofly here. Let's see. Both Berserker Slams are gone. He does. Both Cacophonous Riots are gone. He goes Geistoid, takes his archives. Plays Winds of Death right away. Discarding Echo Fly, using the discard pip, and archiving Key Abduction, getting 7 creatures in the archive. But taking out all of Captain Crispy's board and getting the 3 Ember from Boiler. And Crispy used Mamet to archive Mars first. And Phantom Drummernaut to archive itself. That's actually pretty interesting there, because with Drummernaut and Mars first, he can do a lot. Oh, and then Varghast passes turn. Interesting. So he's yeah, so he can just key abduct the next turn because he's still got 10 in hand and 7 in the archives. Choreographed amazingly. Crispy is trying to think, is there a way that he can get some additional key costs? He can definitely get in 1 extra reap, I believe, with this Void Prober by playing his Phantom, playing his Dr. X, playing his Mars first on the Dr. X, reaping, bringing back Distant Void Prober, getting a reap. That would make key cost 9. Is that enough? Not sure what else he has from Mars in his hand for Varghast. He's already got 14 Ember. Uses, 13 Ember, but after 2 Haunted House up to 15. Will he be able to stop the Key Abduct from Varghast? He brings back the Distant Void Prober. Also had the Grammar Jabber in hand, so is able, or from the Winds of Death in the archive, so is able to get the key cost up to 10. Now the Grammar Jammer will go off the board with a Key Abduct, but so the key cost would still be 9. Does he have any other way to generate Ember? We know the Key Abduct also has discard pips. He goes Mars, plays Key Abduct, and it's enough. Even with the 9, because... Whew, that was close. Oh, get the logs. Thank you, Captain Crispy. Wow, what a finish. That was super close, super close. Congratulations to Varghast. He will be moving on. I got the log. Whew, that one was close. Very, very close. Because he already had the 3 Ember, he got the extra 1 from Key Abduct, and that was enough because of the extra 3 key cost. Whew. What a game. What a game. That was cutting it close. So both games, Captain Crispy was just a couple turns behind. Varghast expertly conducting for everything to be archived just right to get off the key abduction. 3 times. Amazing. What a game. Okay. Okay. So, let us, whew, that was exciting. Let us quickly look at the bracket. As we had mentioned before, Varghast now will play the winner between Flaming Hobo and GJ999. And then in the bottom left corner of this bracket. So very exciting. Oh, whoops, I changed scenes. Coming up, we have some more Final Refrain streaming, not only from me, but from a lot of different people. So I actually have another match coming up. I'm going to check. The best place to find it is looking at the events in the Final Refrain Discord. I have a match coming up tomorrow night, even later. It would be starting right about now, actually. JDG13 versus Nunzio. 2 mass mutation decks. I think the only 2 mass mutation decks in this crazy field of mostly GG decks. Also on Thursday, Sith of Angmar versus Dr. Sheep at 6 p.m. on Fudginator's Twitch. On Friday, actually, yeah, you got to look up the time because with all the different time zones, I'm not sure what it is at your time. On Friday, there's Harm versus Magic Duck on Lord Judo's Twitch, Lord_Judo. Also on Friday is Shaka versus Lord Judo. Sunday, WCJ is his Twitch handle, Sundays. And also on Friday, Cat Marrow versus Unfathomable will be streamed by Astron. His Twitch is Astron624. On Saturday, we have Ewok Jr. versus Astron, which will also be streamed by Sunday. And on Sunday, Bamboo versus Mugogi will be streamed by Mugogi on YouTube, YouTube/@Mugogi99. Okay, and it looks like also on Sunday we're going to have Emperor Riku versus Lorenzo. And we're still lining up who will be streaming that. All right. So lots of more crazy Archon action coming at you. Thanks everybody for watching. It was an exciting match, and there's going to be a lot more exciting matches coming up. Keep your eyes peeled, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks everybody. And as always, forge responsibly. Thanks everyone. See ya.